Hello, everybody. It is Rust Belt Perspective here. Today is November 1st, 2023, and today I'm going to be giving you my next round of Senate predictions for 2024. So, of course, coming into this election, this Senate map is very unfavorable for the Democrats. While the House and the presidency are very much in play for the Democrats, the Senate's going to be their most difficult challenge yet because of this map. The Republicans are only defending 11 seats. They need to flip two to win the Senate, or one plus the presidency, while the Democrats, they're defending 23 seats, including their 3 independents. And a lot of these 11 seats for the Republicans are already considered safe for them. You see here, um, all these safe states factored in, you're already at 47 for the Republicans. Of course, they flipped North Dakota, Indiana, and Missouri back in 2018, which were already solidly red states, and now with their being Republican incumbents, there is no doubt. Even with Mike Braun retiring and Kevin Cramer not yet announcing his intention, there's no doubt that these states will remain red. Same with Mitt Romney in Utah. But thankfully for the Democrats, they themselves have their own share of safe states. Out west, and especially in the New England territory, Bernie Sanders and Angus King, the 2 independents, very popular. New York, of course, and then Amy Klobuchar in Minnesota and Martin Heinrich in New Mexico, both very popular. These states are usually a little more competitive, but with these two popular incumbents rerunning, them winning by well over 20 points in 2018, there should be no problem for them to win re-election. So that leaves us with 11 states that are to some degree are competitive. But some are a lot more competitive than others. We'll start out with the likely Democratic states. First off, you have Virginia. The only reason I don't consider it safe is because the threshold for safe is 15 points, and while I think Tim Kaine will do very good, I don't quite think he'll meet that. The 15-point threshold. He won by 16 back in 2018 when it was much bluer year than 2024 shaping up to be, and Kaine is only polling slightly ahead of Glenn Youngkin in the state, the Republican governor, though Governor Youngkin has not declared any intention to run for election in this Senate race. So then, Pennsylvania, I'll consider a likely Democratic state as well. Bob Casey, you see, repeatedly always does well in the state, doing so by 13 points in 2018. 9 points in 2012, and 17 points in 2006. He continues to dominate in this state. And while the Republicans, they do seem to be behind David McCormick as their Republican candidate. That is a good start for the Republicans, but still, Casey is polling ahead by 7 points against McCormick, which is more than enough for a likely threshold here. So while this race could tighten up a little bit more usual than usual for Casey, I still think Casey comfortably wins. And then similarly in Wisconsin, Tammy Baldwin, a popular Democratic incumbent there, she is rerunning and she doesn't have any competition within her own party, while the Republicans don't really seem to present a strong challenger to her at this time. Of all that have declared or publicly expressed interest, there are no currently elected officials, no big names or anything. In fact, you look at the only polling data we have here for Tammy Baldwin. She's polled against a Republican representative who has declined to run, and it was a Republican-sponsored poll, and Baldwin still won. So there really isn't a clear path for the Republicans in the state, at least on a Senate level. Presidential level, it's a lot closer, but I think Tammy Baldwin should have a pretty easy path to re-election. And now a couple likely Republican states. Going to start out with Florida. Rick Scott, he should be able to comfortably win here, just not quite by 15. You saw DeSantis and Rubio both crush it in the state back in 2022. The Democrats are disorganized in this state big time, so that's another reason why it should be pretty easy for the Republicans and Rick Scott to hold on to this one. Just don't think it'll be quite by 15 points. And the first flip of the map, West Virginia, I think will go to the Republicans comfortably. Joe Manchin continues to not declare what he wants to do. A while back, he said December of this year is when he'd make that choice, so we'll see if that ends up coming to be. But the thing is, if he does run, yes, he is automatically competitive with how popular he is in West Virginia, the popular Democratic senator. But he's being challenged by popular Republican Governor Jim Justice, who is polling ahead of Manchin, and not just by a little bit, by a good chunk. So Jim Justice already has a firm grip on West Virginia in this Senate race, and that's why I consider it likely Republican. Though if Manchin does not run, this automatically flips Republican safely, no matter who's on that Republican ballot, Justice or not. So now we get down into the lean states, as we have 6 states left. They are some of the most competitive of the cycle, of course, at least in the Senate level. We'll start out with Michigan. This is a state that a lot of the experts think will comfortably go to the Democrats. I honestly think this race will be a lot more competitive than people think. Debbie Stabenow, the incumbent Democratic senator, is retiring, and the Democrats seem to be behind Eliza Slotkin, the U.S. representative. She has a lot of endorsements. So, on one hand, yes, that's great for the Democrats. So they don't have to spend a lot of money on what could be a messy primary. But if I look at the Republican side of this aisle, they do have 2 viable candidates to challenge Representative Slotkin, and that is James Craig and Mike Rogers. Rogers, a longtime representative from the state, is polling decently, and James Craig, the former police chief of Detroit, he was the Republican frontrunner in 2022 for that governor race until he got disqualified. And you look at polling, right now Craig is favored over Rogers, and then you see some polls. Slotkin does beat Craig in both of them, though it's not by like an overwhelming margin or anything. But this was also before Craig declared. Now that Craig has entered this race, that alone could really make polls a lot tighter in this race. And Mike Rogers, he's not super far behind either. I think this is a competitive race right here that will be within 5 points, but all things considered, I do think Slotkin holds on by like 2 to 5 points to keep the state blue for the Democrats. But I think it'll be a lot more competitive than people are thinking it's going to be. Then you look at Nevada. Jackie Rosen, the incumbent senator, is running for a second term, and there are several Republicans that have declared, and the Republicans mostly seem to be behind Senator Sam, or not Senator, but U.S. veteran Sam Brown trying to become a senator. That seems to be the favorite here. He has 5 Republican senators that have endorsed him, including John Thune, who's second in command for the Republicans, so that's big. And Sam Brown, he does soundly beat most of the Republicans in this polling. There is no polling between Jackie Rosen and any Republican yet, so we await that. And Nevada's always quite competitive, with Democrats usually slightly prevailing, so I think that's exactly what's going to happen here. Jackie Rosen will win by less than 5 points to make it a lean race, but Cortez Masto, Biden, Rosen herself, they always prevail in the state, not by a lot, but they always prevail. Joe Lombardo, the only Republican of recent memory to win statewide here, in a redder year than 2020. 2022 is a redder year than 2024 is supposed to be, and Lombardo barely won. So, there's that one for you. Then, we'll take a look at Montana here. Jon Tester, of course, this one is quite competitive. Jon Tester, a popular Democratic senator in a very Republican-leaning state. You look at it, back in 2018, Tester won by 3.6. In 2012, he won by 3.7. In 2006, when he was first elected, he won by less than a point. But you look deeper into that, Tester got 48% of the vote in Montana on the same ballot that Obama only got 41%. So you see a large swing in Tester's favor here, and that is something that has not changed. Trump winning it by 20 points in 2016 and then 16 in 2020. Tester continues to swing the state his way, and this time around, he does have a viable challenger in Tim Sheehy. Matt Rosendale, he could run again, who did challenge him in 2018. But Tim Sheehy seems to be the one the Republicans are behind. He has a number of senators from the Republican side of that Senate aisle who are endorsing him, along with popular Governor Greg Gianforte. And the other U.S. representative that's not Matt Rosendale has endorsement Ryan Zinke. So the Republican Party of both the state of Montana and at the federal level are behind Tim Sheehy. So this is a competitive election. Though Rosendale has pulled ahead of Sheehy, though these polls are a little further back. So if Rosendale does run, it becomes a messy primary potentially. But if Sheehy does make his way through, it is competitive. Tester did win by 4 in one poll, while Sheehy won by 4 in another. But Tester continues to swing the state big time to win. I think Tester will narrowly hold on in this one. And you also have the factor of a potential messy Republican primary, so it's not a given that Sheehy will be the Republican nominee, but this is definitely a very close one. Arizona, I think, will also stay in the Democrats' hands. Kari Lake has declared that she is going to run, but you also have the factor of Senator Sinema, the incumbent independent, potentially running to make this a interesting three-way race. You look at the polls here. Gallego had been sweeping them for quite a while till Kari Lake entered the race. And it's even between those two when it's just black and white, Gallego versus Lake. But the factor of Sinema shakes things up, and apparently in this case Lake does come out on top when in this one poll, but before that Gallego's sweeping the polls big time. The popular Democratic representative who the party is very much behind for this race, as they want Sinema out and Gallego in. So I think the Democrats hold on there. Texas, I think, will go back to the Republicans. Incumbent Senator Ted Cruz is rerunning. He's a polarizing figure, not super popular, but the partisan lead in this state is still red for the Republicans, though, of course, Beto O'Rourke, he did make this a close race in 2018, but again, 2018 was a bluer year than 2024, shaping up to be. And Cruz, he does have a worthy challenger in U.S. Representative Colin Allred. So there is a lot of reason to believe this state will be close in these elections. But you look at the polls, and Cruz, he does pull ahead of Allred. It's not by a ton, but it is a gap by 5 to 7 points. So will it be competitive? Absolutely. Will Cruz win, though? I believe he will. So then, this balance of the Senate hangs in Ohio. And this is quite an interesting one. Oops. Ohio. There are 3 major Republican candidates who are looking at this primary. You have Frank LaRose, their Secretary of State. You have Bernie Moreno, who was endorsed by the other senator of the state, J.D. Vance, and then you have Matt Dolan, a state senator. All 3 are fighting for the primary win, and you see in the most recent poll, Emerson College was very accurate when they predicted this race in 2018. You see they had Brown winning by 6, and that's exactly what happened. So you look at them making a poll right now here in late 2023. They have Dolan and LaRose narrowly coming on top, while Sherrod Brown beats Bernie Moreno by 2. So, but you look at they also polled presidential here on the same poll, and Trump, he soundly defeats Biden by 12 points in this poll. So you see Brown, he does still swing this race big time. While, yes, their partisan lean is definitely Republican in Ohio. And Trump should comfortably win there against President Biden. It's a lot more competitive here because Brown is popular, similar to Montana with Jon Tester. But I think that Frank LaRose, he probably is the best Republican to take on Sherrod Brown, and that seems to kind of, it's close, but I think that's kind of who the Republicans are leaning towards in this race. And should he take on Brown, it is very close, but I think this Ohio race will kind of be your Indiana or Missouri of 2018, where yes, it's polling very close, but then it comes down to election day, and it comes out to be a sizable Republican win. So for now, I will consider a lean Republican state to give the Republicans a narrow Republican majority in the Senate to avoid a potential Democratic trifecta in 2024. So yeah, comment down below what you guys think. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you have not already. This is Rust Belt Perspective, signing out.